Are likely to address the media. So I think before we go to Aviwe Mtila, let's take a listen to what more will come out of that interaction with the media.
As well, and they feel that nothing's being done. What's your response to them?
What I was telling the communities is that much as the communities have indicated their frustration, which is understandable, but we have been on the ground to try and arrest the situation, to try and calm the situation, to try and intervene where the communities have information to follow up. That is why you have seen from last week, this week again, there were 80 people that appeared at court that were arrested with the assistance of the communities. If we can continue to do that, if we can continue to share the information with the police, when we are having this operation, we know how Gauteng has been tough on the ground to establish Ukai for years now. It has been going on for almost 3 years, and it is continuing and it's going to continue. That is the reason why we are having this type of operation, and they will continue. And I want to reassure and reaffirm this assurance to the communities that we are going to find ourselves amongst them, because we are part of the communities. We want to see South Africans living their normal life. That is the intention. That is why we are here. That is why the combat teams are amongst themselves.
Commissioner, it's Ahmed Kaji here from Newsroom Africa. Earlier on, we saw 2 people being brutally beaten up by the community members in the eyesight of your police officers, and nothing was done. Your response to that?
That is why I think General Mutombeni did address that issue. That is why you have found us intervening and rescuing those people. We were overwhelmed, we must admit, that when we were operating at some parts, the other parts of the communities moved to other areas. That is where they have encircled these people that were found lying on the ground, and they were rescued. Their lives were saved. They are in the safe space, in the safe hands of the police.
What I'm referring to is the one that happened about 30 minutes ago. Your officers were already stationed here at the time. It was probably around 30 minutes after they had arrived. They were already set up. They had their tactical response teams. Their equipment was on already, and it took private security time to actually have to rescue those 2 people from being probably severely assaulted and potentially killed before any of you. And during that time, none of your officers had intervened.
The officers were focusing on other areas, trying to assist and arrest the situation. It is unfortunate that that happened on the other side, on the offside of the police. And I must say, we are working in partnership. That is why you see all the forces coming together. And when we mobilize as the police, we mobilize even the private security companies to come and assist. So the operations that we are seeing is because we are working in collaboration with other role players and other stakeholders. That is what we are emphasizing all the time. That is what we are also pleading to the communities, that where we can, the CPFs are around. There are many other organizations that we are working with within the communities to make sure that where we cannot reach, we are having that force multiplier to come and be the extended hand of the police. That is what was happening.
Deputy Commissioner, what can we expect now that you are going on the ground?
You can expect us to do more arrests, as we have been promising, and will continue to do more arrests where we can find the people that we want to take on and remove away from the communities.
But Deputy Commissioner, sorry, just to cut you there, my fellow. Listen, we've spoken to the people on the ground, Deputy Commissioner, and we were hearing that they're saying that most of the things that you're doing on the ground is not as impactful. So what can you say about the operations that you are now going to do? How is it going to be impactful?
The operations are going to be impactful. Operations have been impactful. That is why you see the prisons are overflowing. It is the people that were arrested by the same police. Remember, in this country, the mandate to arrest is only with the police. Of course, we are working with other stakeholders and other role players. But the reason why you see prisons having so many people inside is because those that respond and assist us, we arrest, and we are going to continue to arrest.
Deputy Commissioner, can I ask?
We have other zamas who have run out into the holes of the mine shaft. How are we going to make sure that they are out of that?
Commitment that was made is that we are also working with other role players, the TMR and all other government entities and government departments that do have the know-how and the responsibility. You cannot just risk communities, in particular communities, to go underground because you don't know what to expect. That is why we have combat teams. That is why we are having experts. That is why we are committing that we'll get other government departments to come and work with us, to who knows what to do and how that should be done. And we are working with mine security as well, that knows what is happening, where holes are, to assist us and make sure that we arrest this situation and we give the community the satisfaction. It may not be 100%, but we are working towards giving that 100% to our communities.
Deputy Commissioner, can we feel as if
there's anxiety within the informal settlement itself as well as nothing. So anxiety. This morning, some of the alleged zamazamas, they were seen fleeing. Now, either you or the commissioner, I know the commissioner has been on the ground, but what is the plan for the protection of the community in case they come back?
I think earlier there was a commitment made, there was a pronouncement made that we are here to operate. That is why we are on our boots and will make sure that boots are on the ground. The provincial commissioner of this province have made these commitments before and is continuing to make the commitments that we will be on the ground until the last person is rescued. And as for tonight, already you can see the deployments. You can see all the armored vehicles that are here. You can see members of the South African police from different units of the police. We have mobilized everything that we have, that we can. We have mobilized community structures with the equipment that they are having to come and make sure that the community of Kagiso sleep with Kagiso.
Nice.
Thank you so much, Deputy Commissioner. But can you tell us, are you saying that the police are overpowered when it comes to dealing with the issue of illegal mining in this area as well as the other areas in Gauteng where these communities say that they've been terrorized daily by the illegal miners and their activity?
That is why when we do our operations, that is why when we do the mobilization, we mobilize all other role players and all other stakeholders as force multipliers to come and assist where we cannot as the police.
And last question, I think, we hear because of that rape that happened last week, Thursday, in this area. It sparked this outrage and the interest. Has any suspects that have been arrested, from the multiple that have been arrested, been linked to that crime as yet? How far are we with that DNA testing yet? Has the ID parade been done also?
We are continuing with the investigation. We are continuing with the processing. We don't want to process in minutes and we go to court. We have comebacks. The crime scene is being processed. The DNA is being processed. We are using the best equipment that we can have. We are having all the forensic experts working overtime to make sure that we process. And as soon as that information is available, there is no way that we are not going to give the feedback to the communities. And thanks to the media, because that is where the media is instrumental to make sure that we communicate the correct information. So we will continue. I have left the divisional commissioner who was here, who was in Alex, giving the reassurance that she is making sure that those experts that must work in processing, they are processing. I spoke to her on my way here. She is in the office. I said she should not come until the team work to process what is available.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Provincial Commissioner, thank you so much.
You will have to ask her.
What do you say?
For me, I just need to get into the car.
who's responsible for policing there, giving an update on the situation out in Kagiso. We have Nqobile Madlala watching that, and I will come back to you in a moment, Nqobile, but I see that we now have the full visuals coming through from Manqoba Mchunu. Manqoba, as the police are saying that they are trying to calm the community down and saying that we are here now to ensure that we respond to your concerns and we will move in and actually take over the operation of shutting down these illegal mining operations that you as a community allege are linked to the high crime rates in the area. As all of that has been happening, community members inside the township where you are have not relented.
Indeed, Tulas, I can tell you that these community members are not relenting, Tulas. They are continuing with their mission, and that mission, Tulas, is to ensure that all the houses that have been identified by community members as houses that are where these illegal miners are staying have been targeted. I'm telling you, this is now, I think, the third house, if not the fourth house, that we are in, where we're seeing community members going in and dismantling some of those shacks, as well as burning some of them. Just a short while ago, we did see one of the shops here, which we are told belong to illegal foreigners, being torched and burned down to the ground by some of the protesters. We're still here in Siangoba, and this is where some of the residents are still going house to house on a door-to-door campaign to us, trying to get all of the places that have been identified. We understand that there is a list of places of known houses where these illegal operations are taking place, and we have just been seeing these protesters going inside, of course, finding some of those tools or some of those things that are used in illegal mining. As you can see here, we saw gumboots coming out of this particular shack. We also saw some buckets. We also saw some shovels that are being used allegedly for illegal mining. So they're not really negotiating with anybody. They're not negotiating with the landlords or the homeowners. They're just getting into the property and they're destroying and dismantling what they see. And, this has been going on to us, I think, for the better part of the day, where we saw earlier on another house being torched down. They say that that was a house that was also housing some of those zamas. And these community members really not relenting to us. They're saying that they're going to continue. They're not going to be stopped by anybody. In fact, they're saying that as far as police are concerned, they've given up on the police. The police have failed to act. They've failed this particular community as far as trying to halt these operations is concerned. So they're saying now it's time that the community takes these matters into their own hand. As you can see now what is happening here, I can tell you that the community is united here to us. All community members that are here agree on one thing, that they're going to take down these particular shacks, and that they're not going to allow the occupants of these shacks to continue staying here. Of course, we are seeing quite a number of them moving from the different houses, moving to the various locations, and we are told that this is going to continue well into the afternoon, because they're saying that they have those houses that have been targeted. They know who they're looking for, and they're saying that they're not going to stop up until those houses are there. You can see to a celebration here for community members who are here in at this particular place. I'm just going to try and get closer to that particular house inside, just to see what else they've uncovered. You can see to us there are beds here that they have found. There are also copper cables that have been found, and some of the gadgets that are used, the lights that are used in illegal mining. That tells you that this is one of the houses where illegal miners have been staying, but also quite a number of things that indicate perhaps some of the illegal operations that occur in this particular area. And I can tell you that these residents are saying that this has come to an end. We're seeing political parties as well here, as well as Sanko on the ground, who are saying that they are going to continue the operations. Right now, I can tell you that these community members are celebrating songs. Because of this particular demolition that has occurred here, celebrating, of course, that they've taken down one of these particular structures that they believe are owned, or they are being rented out to these illegal immigrants. As I said to us, they're not really negotiating with anybody. So earlier on, we saw a bit of a scuffle between a homeowner, a landlord, and some of these demonstrators. And they made it quite clear that, at this particular homestead, we know for sure that there are illegal mining operations taking place here, and we're really not going to negotiate with you, but we are going to take down this particular structure, which is exactly what they did to us. So quite hectic scenes here, and of course it doesn't end here. They're saying that they're still going to continue up until all of those houses, all of those operations have been brought to a standstill here on the West Rand.
Your mobile journalism is commendable. I've got to commend you for keeping that those visuals steady, and you've been holding it down with that with your phone for the last, I don't know, half an hour or so. I'm going to give you a moment to sort of stretch your arm for a moment, and then we will continue to monitor your visuals. It is compelling journalism. It is saddening in terms of the state that it reveals, the state of our country, but nonetheless exceptional work done by our reporters on the ground. So while you stretch your arms for a moment, Manqoba, we will return to you later, but let's go to Nqobile Madlala, who was listening to that briefing by the Police Deputy National Commissioner responsible for policing, Nqobile Madlala. And Nqobile, it seems the details are pixelating into sharp focus now. I didn't understand the numbers that were involved, but I think I understand now. What the Lieutenant General Musigidi was saying is that actually there was a group of illegal miners who found themselves surrounded by community members and had to be rescued by police, albeit by police who, by their own admission, were overwhelmed in terms of the operations on the ground today.
Well, tell us, in fact, I still do have the Deputy National Commissioner, so I want to bring that clarity. Deputy, we're hearing about the numbers that you're telling us, but could you perhaps clarify, how were the people rescued?
The people were found and circled by the communities as we were operating, and they were rescued from there because we wanted to save them from the assault that was happening at the time. So they were taken by the police that was on the ground when it was happening, just that it happened on the other side, away from the operational area. Into the police as
All right, we have lost that connection to Nqobile Madlala. It's been intermittent in terms of the connection, the mobile connection to our reporters on the ground. So while we've lost that, Nqobile Madlala was in conversation with the Deputy National Police Commissioner, Nqobile Madlala, who is responsible for policing. Let's take you back to Aviwe Mtila. And Aviwe, you were up in the sky and you've been circling above the area of Kagiso. Tell me where you are at the moment and what you are seeing. Aviwe Mtila, can you hear me? All right, it does seem we have a bit of a challenge connecting to Aviwe. Let's check in with Manqoba Mchunu. Manqoba, I'm struck from the conversations you've been having and the reporting you've been doing by the fact that while it's perhaps it's not overwhelmingly evidence of paraphernalia that is associated with illegal mining that has been found, but there have been is what you are reporting, items that do point, that are paraphernalia of that could be associated with illegal mining. But also, I think I heard you earlier on say that the spoils, quote unquote, the spoils from that criminal activity have also been found in these operations by this community.
Well, certainly, Chulas, and that's what we're seeing here. in this particular homestead. We have seen some of the items that are used for illegal mining. We've seen gumboots coming out of here. We've seen shovels. We've seen something that seems to connect this particular shack to illegal mining activities. And of course, those who know best will tell you to us what some of those items are. We saw them also carrying a light that is used when people go underground. That is on the hats of those the mining operations that happen. So that tells you that this, according to the community, is one of the homesteads where, of course, they have been renting, and they are saying that to us they are going to demolish all of them in this community. Not only here, they're going to move from this particular place, and they're not going to leave anyone who is involved here unaffected by this. And they're really, as I said, to us, not negotiating. They're not asking any permission from anybody. They are saying that they're going to continue. We did see some of the homeowners trying to stop what is happening here, but these residents are simply not letting down. They are continuing torching, as you can see now, the belongings that were found in this particular shack. They are here, and they're saying that they're not going to be moving anywhere at this particular point. You can imagine, what is going through some of the landlords, minds at this particular point when they see this happening. But at this point, they really have nothing to say. They cannot say anything, even if they do try. It is all to us for nothing, because these demonstrators insist that they're going to continue, despite some of the complaints that they may get from these landlords. Well, the fires are up to us. There is quite a number of fires that are taking place here, not only here, around this particular part of Kagiso Nqobile. We know that they are going on a house-to-house campaign, really targeting some of these particular homesteads. As you can see, the group now moving. They are now moving to another site. They're now moving to another part where they're going again to be doing the same thing, trying to demolish some of those structures, as well as trying really to stop illegal mining activities in this particular area. Well, you can see, to us, this is what was demolished. This is some of those, structures that have been taken down by community members. They're going to leave this particular site now. They will be moving on to another one. But as I said, to us, no police still in sight. We do know that, of course, that the officials in the police are around, but not here in this particular scene. And I can tell you, it's scenes of chaos that we're seeing here this afternoon. We're seeing fires all over this particular place. And I can tell you that there is certainly quite a lot of discontent and anger from residents of Kagiso, who say enough is enough with criminality, who say enough is enough with illegal mining in this particular area.
Yeah, and it's a tricky conversation, is it not, Manqoba? Because while we talk about some of this paraphernalia that we're talking about that has been found in some of these houses that have been demolished, it's not conclusive evidence that actually you can link it directly to illegal mining. But also the flip side of that, while we're talking about communities being fed up, which objectively, they've been saying that nothing is being done about the issue of illegal mining, that they associate with other criminal activities in the area. While we acknowledge all of that, we also have to acknowledge the criminality that has happened in the last few hours. And I've heard you consistently asking those community leaders about the criminality, but also the threat to the rule of law and law and order in general that is posed by self-help as well as vigilantism. And one has to wonder, at what point does this turn to a situation where they encounter someone who will fight back, and in the end, actually lives are lost? So in all of this, what we are seeing here, Manqoba, you are saying to me, no police officers in sight, no nyalas in sight, no water cannons, nothing. Other than what we are seeing at the main road, which seems to be the site of operations for the SAPS at the moment.
Totally nothing. I can tell you that not even one police car, not even one police inyala here at Nqobile, not even police on the ground. I haven't seen even one policeman here on the ground at this is of course happening. We are seeing now some elements of looting that are happening here. You know, some of those structures that have been taken down, they're now taking some of those corrugated irons away from those particular homesteads. And, you know, it's really getting out of hand as far as criminality is concerned. We're seeing people just doing as they please, people just going and dismantling houses, you know, going into people's properties and dismantling some of these shacks. And no one really is stopping them, and no one really can at this particular point, because these community members are insisting to us that they won't be stopped. They are going to stop this criminality, and that they are really going to root out all of these illegal miners here from their community. They are moving again to us to another spot. I'm not sure where they're going, but that tells you to us that they are not going to stop anytime soon.
Right, Manqoba, let's leave it there for now. We will come back to you. All of those conversations coming to the fore, collaboration between communities and police, because the fact that the community members believe that they know where the illegal miners live means that actually there was room for collaboration, but perhaps that was just not happening over the last few years and months. Let's go back to Nqobile Madlala. Nqobile, if you still have the Deputy National Police Commissioner for Policing, Tibelo Mosikidi, it would be interesting to hear her response to the fact that while they are there addressing some of the community members where you are and assuring them that we are now in charge of the situation, the picture is very different when you look at the visuals coming through from Manqoba Mchunu, where community members in another part of Kagiso are actually going house to house, destroying the houses of those that they believe are involved in the illegal mining activities and basically just raiding.
Well, tell us, I'm going to direct those questions to her because she is actually on her way, and we've managed to sort of keep her waiting. Deputy Commissioner, we appreciate your time. But now we can see a lot of forces on the ground. We can see quite a number of people here from the police as well as the task teams that you spoke about. But we know that another part of this area has now currently the community members going house to house. And they're saying there isn't any force and any police in that area. Why is this?
Because we are responding to where the community is telling us that there is a problem. We have responded, but I can assure you that there are not only one team. Before coming here this afternoon, we went to Mansfield, where the other forces are there to also assist and rescue the situation that is there, because we were called by the community. We had to redirect the teams that at least the other platoons should go and assist at that site. So we do have other forces that were deployed at other areas, to the extent that we have to withdraw others that were here in Gauteng busy with Okaimulao to come and arrest the situation this side and assist where we can. We also have mobilized other community structures. We also have, from the Nat Joint's point of view, we do have other departments that are working. We have private security companies. We are having mining security companies. We have mobilized as far possible as we can with our partners that we are working from time to time with, to come and assist where the police cannot be able to reach. So we do have, and we're working together. It's not that the private security companies will work on their own, because when we are to process the cases, it is the police that needs to give that leadership.
Well, we understand that at this point there are areas which are quite open. Does that mean that you are now driving there?
Where we have the information, we are driving there. When we were addressing the communities, we reassured them that we are going to split ourselves to go and address other areas as well.
But safety is quite a huge concern for a lot of people that live in this area. Deputy Commissioner, they were talking about the fact that when you leave, what happens to them?
The Provincial Commissioner has been operating and has made a commitment that he is going to stay here. If others are leaving, the other forces will come in to make sure that we have the continuity. We will not leave the community of Kagiso on their own. We are not going to leave them in the dark. We are not going to leave them in an open where they will be susceptible for attacks. We are here, the provincial commissioner is also mobilizing from other forces. We are having the head of operations from head office that is observing what is happening. Where we can, we will withdraw other forces to come and assist.
Thank you very much. Deputy Commissioner there speaking to us. Of course, she has to now rush into some of those operations. We know that the provincial commissioners also in the car now rushing to some of those operations, but the community here didn't seem quite pleased hearing that they need to go back home. They wanted to be part of those operations. As you said to us, that some parts of this area still continue with those operations, and of course Deputy Commissioner just saying that they are going to put a lid on it.
Yeah, absolutely, Nqobile. And she says where they've received information that there's some disturbance and the help of the SAPS is needed, they are responding. Well, I can tell you now that the help of the SAPS is needed in the area of Kagiso, where Manqoba Mchunu is, where community members, as you and I have been talking, are going house to house. And as far as Manqoba can see, not a single police officer in sight, property being destroyed, etc., etc. It's been an extraordinary day across the country, really, but in particular pronounced in the area of Kagiso, speaking to the crises that we face as a country, and that being brought to the fore quite sharply.